wanted to pause and come in and tell you guys that I am reading Never Whistle at Night. And I wanted to start this vlog off by talking about it while I'm on this forever long commute in the middle of nowhere. So I thought this would be a great time to pop in and talk about it because it's on my mind, but I'm really busy and I don't have any other time to film than right now because I'll be like on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. So I'm reading Never Whistle at Night, and sorry that my face is ashy. I was like rushing and didn't put on any lotion, oil, or anything, sunscreen. What is wrong with me? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I'm reading the story written by Phoenix Boudreau, and there was a section in the book that I wanted to talk about, and one of the characters was like, you know, I'm sitting in this class listening to this white native person telling me about colonialism. So the person who said like, I'm in this class listening, is a person who is from a reservation. And I just thought just that line alone was very powerful because it wasn't until probably a few years ago that I started to realize, like, it doesn't take away from your nativeness, but there is a difference in experiencing different things that you would only experience it if you were on a res, and then if you're off a res, you may not understand all those things. And I'm saying that as an outsider, you know, just looking in, being like, there is a difference. Like, even when people I've worked with or people I've worked for, I can see a difference in how people interact, their thought process, and how they go on by their daily lives. I can also lend the same when we're talking about like when we're talking about black folks who lived in the suburbs and black folks who lived in the hood, right? We have a lot of rappers. I think Travis Scott is one of them, who, like, you would think that, oh, this dude was in the hood, but no, he grew up in the suburbs. So there are just different experiences that are there, and it's not like being like they're not black enough or these people aren't native enough. But her saying that line just reminded me of people who have told me about different native experiences on and off the res, and it also reminded me of like times when I've been upset when somebody have tried to tell me about the distant, like, gentrification, lack of resources in the hood, and I'm like, I'm from the hood and they're not from the hood, but it kind of feel like they're talking to me about something that they read in the textbook. So sometimes I'm like, is there a disconnect, or, you know, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I just wanted to come in and say I felt that person when they said, you know, this person is trying to like teach me. They, you know, they've never even been there, kind of thing. Like, they've never even lived on the res. So like, how are you going to tell me about something that I know on an intimate level, on a systemic level, on a daily level? Because there are differences, you know, there are differences. So I just wanted to say that. Take some time to talk about Nick Medina's story, and it was kind of like eerie, a little bit of heartbreaking, and also just a testament of reality. Nick Medina's story is pretty much about examining blood quantum and how serious it is, and how much stock people put in it, how much stock other people put in it, and just examining it in a way of like looking at the literal blood of things. It's a story about the death of a traditional person named Big John, and he passes away, and there's another character who is like really consumed with blood, being like, you know, how are we going to get his blood? people in the community asking them questions like, if you're pregnant, like, is your child is the father at least a fourth? Like, having those conversations. I believe that blood quantum, for the most part, is bullshit. I believe that why are we being like, oh, you know, you gotta be this much of that much to do something. I am a firm believer of being culturally connected and blood connected, but there is too much stock in politics in America surrounding Indigenous folks, and whether they are have enough blood, Indian blood or Native blood in them. I find it to be atrocious that in order for you to be a tribal member or to be recognized federally on this list, that you have to have a certain amount of blood quantum to do so. I think that, I don't know, it's just something about it I do not like. So having this story and having the author write it in such a literal sense of like blood, just reminding me of the Marrow Thieves and how that book was set up. So yeah, I just wanted to come in and say that as well. So y'all, I got some food, so I'm gonna try to park. Well, it doesn't look like, I may have parked too close behind the car in front of me, and the other car behind me is on my butt, so we'll just sit here and wait. Still reading Never Whistle at Night. There were quite a few stories I wanted to talk about, but I decided to just talk about just a couple of them. The balance in this anthology is done really well. There are some anthologies or short stories that I read that I just feel like I be wanting them to kind of like bleed into one another, and I don't often find that. Like, one of my favorite anthologies is How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin, but it only felt like half of the stories in that book kind of like went with a theme. I love a theme, I love cohesiveness, and that it was only half of it, I felt like, versus this book, it feels like one story lends to the next story and lends to the next story. Like, you're constantly getting the big overarching thing of like spookiness and identity and community. Like, that is what's woven through so many things. So that's what I find to be really interesting getting into this book. So right now I am doing like just on a Zoom link, doing some sprints with a couple folks. It is snowing. It just is what it is. There's a lot of snow happening. So what I'm going to try to do, because I am very tired and sleepy and exhausted and got a lot of driving to do today, I'm going to go ahead and eat this food, and then I am going to try my best to make it to a bookstore, and then do some work and just, you know, try to get through the day. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I film it. Hopefully I remember. So there is one story, I forget the name of the author name, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen, but it's about like this woman at night, and that she like is coming and no one knows her name, and it's very creepy the way the story is being told. But I look at it as a cautionary tale of like, you just have to be careful. You just have to pay attention to your teachings when your teachings are asking for you to be cognizant or do specific things when people passed on and have to take their journey. And it's just a cautionary tale of what happens when you don't do that, when you don't listen to your elders, you know, or understand what's going on in the journey. I will say what I'm finding to be like the best thing about this anthology so far is the mixing of so many different languages into the story. I just love when people who speak multiple languages or people who are learning different languages add those languages into the story. It just makes the story better for me. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people who like mix stuff into their stories, and it just mix languages into their story, and it's actually wrong. Like the author of Fourth Wing, you shouldn't have did that. So now you got those Gaelic speakers coming at you, and I know I'm saying Gaelic wrong of how you actually say it, but they're eating her up on Twitter and TikTok. They're eating her up. So other than that, I do like when there are multiple languages being spoken and in a book or in a story. And I even love it better when it's not explained. Like if it's explained, great, but so, you know, I love the vibe of it is what it is. I'm speaking my language. You get it, you don't, you don't. One of my favorite new phrases that we use is, you know, for the girls who get it, and the girls who don't. Love that for us. This is something I think is truly interesting. Indigenous worldview, perception dialogue. Truthfulness is fundamental, yet Western scholarships for centuries have moved against natural law, thinking that their human powers, their truth, were superior to nature, nature's truth, and that they needed to conquer nature. So I believe dishonesty has been a part of civilization generally. To harm our animal and plant partners with little conscience takes a denial of relational connection that can be called a lie. As Thomas Cooper learned from his interviews and observations of multiple North American Native American tribes, lying was considered a sign of insanity. A person who does not speak truth must not know reality, and thus is to be pitted. Tadayo Chief Leon Shenandoah put it poetically. The Creator made us for honoring Him. He put in us the ability to work for the good of all. One of the things He did was give us ears, and ears are not mouths. Ears were put on the side of our head so we would hear all that goes around us. That to let us know things before we talk. Our mouths are on the front of our face so that our words can be directed. We're to use that gift of speech for specific purposes. It should be limited, otherwise we can mislead. When we mislead, we can influence people to take a wrong direction or course of action. that can cause a lot of harm. Watch what you say. Somebody is always listening. It could be another human being, or that person could turn your words around on you, especially if you talk about somebody. It's not just human beings who may hear you. Spirits are always about, and they hear you too. I'm just at a loss of words. That is definitely very much mirroring the genocides and everything that we're seeing that are happening in the world. This is what we need to remember: truthfulness. It is cold. It is very, very cold. Okay, y'all. I went to the Four Pines Bookstore here in Minnesota, and I found 2 books that I'm just really interested in. I was trying to look for other books, but they didn't have them. So I found these 2 books by Indigenous authors. They had a whole Indigenous section, so I was just like really excited. And this book, it's a short book. It's called Rain Is Not My Indian Name by Cynthia Latish Smith. I hope that I'm saying her last name right, but I really like a short novel. That's one reason why I took it. This is about this girl named Cassidy Rain, and I'm assuming it's going to deal with a little bit of the grief that she's feeling because she lost her best friend, and the other changes that is happening to her in her life. And I'm just excited to read that. And again, I've been looking for shorter books, so this is really great. And then I got this book. This is Restoring the Kinship Worldview. Indigenous Voices Introduce 28 Percepts for Rebalancing Life on Planet Earth. So in the clip before you're watching this clip, I did read an excerpt from it. I just think that, you know, there's just some things in here that need to be reminders, or things that I need to, you know, just be more conscious of. For example, like humor is essential. It's one of the chapters. This was written by Wakinkpe Topa, 4 Arrows, and Darcia Narvaez. So I hope I'm not misspelling names, but I am, because there are names I've never seen before, so the likelihood of me misspelling it is serious. I also like how it's heavily research and like telling you where certain things are coming from, and I just feel like this is what I need. So it does give textbook vibes, however, I don't care. I'm about it. So I'm excited to read it. It says that it has 28 powerful excerpt passages from Indigenous leaders, including Morning Dove, Robin Wall Kimmerer, Winona Duke, what is it? Oh my God. I know this is a Mayan name, the first name. It looks Mayan to me, but I'm pointing at this right here. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Martinez. It looks Mayan. Don't judge me. Don't quote me on that. Accompanied by edited. There's just a bunch of people who contributed to this. Some people that I know, some people that I don't know. So I'm excited to get into this and I'm excited to get into this and learn from this. I also saw that there are some Aboriginal authors in this as well. So I'm excited for my 2 purchases. Like I've said in previous videos, I don't typically buy books, but these 2 had to be an exception. And I've been trying to get to this bookstore for about 3 years. So I'm excited that I was able to get in there. So I'm excited about these 2 purchases. And when I read them, you will definitely hear about it. So let's get into the video. Hi, just popping in at the end of this vlog and saying like, hey, this was one of my favorite reads. Every author in this book really came full punching. I can't even say if there were stories that I really liked or stories that I didn't like. I felt like
There were some stories where I got into it and I was like, am I going to like it? But I end up liking all of them because they're different perspectives and how it was told. There was a constant theme of identity, a constant theme of loss, a constant theme of how do we return back to whatever that we're returning back to is. I just felt like the Indigenous writers in this book did a very beautiful job, and I would urge you to go and read this book because you need it. You need it. You need it not only in November. You need it anytime. And at the end of each story, there are information of like an upcoming book that's coming out by the author, or information of how to follow them online or whatever that is. And I strongly encourage you to let this be one of the books that you're like, I want to get into more Indigenous crime fiction or Indigenous horror or mystery or anything like that in that like spooky genre. This is a book I would tell you to go to find authors that you may like, because these stories in this book are so freaking good. So good. So thank you for watching this vlog. I know I was in a car for part of it, but thank you for watching this vlog, and have a wonderful day. Don't forget all of the resources on how to support people who are currently in genocides and currently experiencing ethnic cleansing are in the description box below. And as always, if you have any additional resources that you want me to put out there, don't hesitate to put that in the comment or to send me a message on Instagram. I'm now realizing that there's like this other part of Instagram messages that I didn't know of, so I'm trying to get through those as well. So but definitely send them so I can go ahead and have the resources as updated as possible for people when they need them. So I will see you later. See you in the next video. Bye.
All 435 seats will be up for election November 5th of 2024 for the U.S. House. And there will be 33 of 100 Senate seats up for elections November 5th, 2024. All of this will be happening at the same time as the presidential election. Meaning, if you're so focused on who is going to be the president and you're not focused on who's going to be supporting the president and his policies he's trying to get passed to benefit the things that you stand on, you're missing the point of the political process. Please research your candidates and their policies in your respective states so that you're not out here being foolish and only focusing on the presidential election, because those who are in power of making laws need to make sure that they get to his desk to pass them. And if you don't have the support that the president needs in the legislative branch, you're going to be stuck. If it's up, then it's stuck. It's going to be stuck. Get it together.